Hey all, this is 012 Boku and...
Ex-Jarek. Don't worry, Emma Frost said Scott wouldn't be needing it for the night.
Oh yeah, well, where have you been spending your nights, Jarek, I must say.
Well, let's just say Emma was a little too distracted to check the closet.
I
Hey,
don't want...
Tom Cruise.
I don't want to know what it... Well, besides him, I don't want to know what else is in there. Sorry, folks. But, like, we're here to continue our great escapades into, believe it or not, we're up to episode 22. Hello, what a long ride it's been, but what a great ride it has been. And, it is here. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Yes, I did bring the cover back finally, guys, so sorry about that. It has been a while, but hey, now I can see our whole heads. Whoa! But yeah, we are continuing with the next episode. Episode 22, Backs into the Distance. And, gotta say, this is a very, another important episode. Another, I would say, big character building episode. Because this is one where it continues with the Elric brothers fighting off against Scar and continuing their thing with him. And then it's more of the side note for this. It started out the episode, but the side quest for this episode would basically be Ling Yao and Fuhrer Bradley's fight, and we'll probably get to that last since that was sort of the side thing for this. But the main thing is that the Elric brothers are still trying to take out Scar, but as you know, they're being slowed down because we just said Fuhrer Bradley is fighting with Ling Yao, so Ling Yao can't, he's supposed to light some sort of signal, and the signal hasn't been lit because Ling Yao's dealing with an injured Lan Fan. And while that's going on, both Edward and Alphonse are realizing they'll have to stall for time. So they actually get Scar, who, unleashed a whole lot of power. Sadly, two soldiers get knocked down that were in an alleyway waiting to see if they needed to shoot Scar. The one soldier, which they know their orders, they have to stand down, but they both get knocked back. They don't think they get killed, they just get injured. But they get knocked back, and the Elric stalling for time decide to have a conversation with Scar at the moment.
Yeah, and gonna warn you kids, put all the children at home because Edward Elric's about to, and Winry are about to run you over with a Katawa Shoujo Feels train, and if you get that joke, good for you. Also, if you get that joke, you play way too many independent PC horror and dating sims, so,
Which, yeah, hint, as I point my paper at Jarek.
Well, I mean, I am an adherent to the word of the great scarf warrior who protects us from feminism.
Well, hey. but yes, basically, and before we get to Winry, because Jarek did mention Winry as a part of it, which she will be in just a few moments, because, believe it or not, I guess we could probably mention this now. She was with Alicia and, Gracia, Hughes' daughters, leaving flowers at Hughes' grave. And there's the sweet moment, which, Jarek's remembering, I just heard him give a sigh. Basically, they're coming up to the grave, and, Alicia's like, come back and visit again soon, Winry, he'll get lonely if he doesn't have a full complement of people. And then there's this sweet moment here after that's said where Gracia grabs Winry's hand tight. It's just sort of like, that sister mentality that they developed. So again, very sad, very sweet. Winry actually is starting to come back on her own, and the crowd is talking about how, Scar's in the city, they haven't caught him, and there's these two alchemists fighting them. And Winry was having a recent dream where she was remembering her parents going out to fight in the war where they died, and she was also remembering at the same time when she last spoke to Edward and Alphonse, and she mostly focused on Edward, but seeing Edward walk away, and then she was getting frightened to try to go where they were at. But before it gets to that, like I said, Elrics are stalling for time, and Edward goes, why are you doing this, Scar? You're killing in the name of your god. Do you think it's, justified? And then I forgot what Scar said, and he's like, oh, you think what you guys do is justified or something, or within the name of science. He's like, look what your science has done. They bring up,
Oh, yeah, he brings up what was that girl's name? The one that got fused? Nina.
Nina Tucker, yeah, because Shao and Nina Tucker, yeah. And yeah, you're right, Jarek. They do bring up Nina, and sadly, he says, there's nothing you could have done. Nina was an abomination, and Edward, asks, well, both Edward and Alphonse ask, why did you have to kill her? And sadly, he says, you both know deep down, no matter what you try to do, she couldn't be turned back, and if she stayed that way while alive, she would have been made a laboratory specimen. And granted, hard to say, but Scar made a point, and I'll let you cut in here, Jarek, if you want to add a little more to it, since there was a little more to that.
Yeah, and he kind of brings up the fact that they didn't even think about that, because I guess he could kind of tell, that since they met her before she got turned into, Dad's favorite little scientific abomination, that they must have become friends with her, her being a kid who lost her mother, them being boys who lost their mother, and he realized they probably didn't even think about that at the time, because, she's a friend, of course they're going to want to save her or try to do anything, but he's looking at it from a very realistic perspective. If she lived, they would just, the government would just see her as a science project to be poked, prodded, and cut open. And sad as it is, yeah, I mean, what he did was a mercy killing, but at the same time, could have broken that to the two boys a little bit softer, I'm just saying.
Yeah, or, if he really wanted to do things that were fair and just and work with the Elrics on it, like I was thinking, they both probably could have got her out of the city and to someone who would help take care of her, because sadly, it sucks that she had to end that way, but again, Nina, I think, would have been a hard realization to do a what if for her, if you kept her as the Chimera, of course, because with her dad being dead and whatnot, it would have been hard to see how she would have probably just realistically can't believe what he's hearing. Starts to say, well, oh, you did this, you did that, do the names Rockbell, meaning it to you, and by this point, Winry has gotten to the alleyway where she's near the two injured soldiers, and she's overhearing this whole conversation, and she's like, wait, did Edward just say Rockbell? Alphonse notices when brother, wait, don't say it, stop, but Edward's going, you're the reason the Rockbells were killed after they were helping saving Ishvalans.
And then, of course, Alphonse being the brighter head of the two, he points to Winry. Edward looks, it's like, oh.
Yeah, Winry, and it's like, oh shit, my foot's in my mouth now, as the old saying goes. And, she's like, well, what do you mean? What's going on? You mean he killed my parents? Give them back! Give them back! And it's like, she just loses it, and Scar looks at this, something kicks into Scar's mind, and then after, we have Winry freaking out about everything, we have Scar going down memory lane, and it's flashback time, kiddos, but a real cool flashback where we get Scar's background, where it was the Ishvalan War, they were all fighting, there were people trying to flee, sadly getting gunned down by the military, and I think we mentioned this in one of the previous episodes, we now know why Hiromu Arikawa did the story. She was basing it off what the Japanese went through in World War II, and they were really unfairly treated by a lot of the Nazis too, and you look at how the soldiers are, blonde hair, blue eyes. The blonde hair is very light. The blue eyes are light blue and piercing and very creepy-ish. And, basically showing, hey, this is how we viewed evil, which, to be fair, that's probably how the Ishvalans viewed it. And that was the only...
I think it was the neighbor coming back.
That was the only color... Hockey. Hawk, stop.
Sorry about that. Our dog's scared of the neighbor.
Yeah, I know. I as well keep trying to talk. Hawk, come here.
Hawk, come on.
Oh, okay, cool. Just settle down, buddy. We get it. But yeah, but good boy though. I'm not mad at that. But yeah, just like we're into it and scare the crap out of me. but we see where, oh yeah, and that was an interesting point I was going to make. Like, the Ishvalans are all in gray. We don't even get their red eyes really throughout this thing. But, like, when you see the soldiers, you see where, you see the color of their suits, their piercing blue eyes, and the blonde hairs. That's really an interesting trait. But probably done on purpose because of Savvy, what happens in just a little bit. Like, we have, Scar trying to get to his brother. His brother's, working through alchemy. He's like saying, just a minute, Scar, I'm almost done. I'll be joining you and our family in just a minute. Scar's getting upset by this, but three other soldiers come out of the woodwork and, come in and say, wait, Scar, hold up. And they're basically going to try to convince Scar to say, wait, we can use your brother's alchemy to win this war. He's the only one who possibly has a chance. We can use their own weapons against him. And what I love about this, when Scar's hearing this, he sees the evil in his own people and the vindictiveness in his own people, just seeing them smirking or just the anger and like, it's funny because the vengeance he is on right now, that's exactly how they were thinking. And if you want to add anything more to it, Joe, go ahead.
And it's interesting because when you see his brother, he's got. We all know, like, Scar got his special deconstruction alchemy arm from his brother, like, that's how he got that. But his brother had two arms, and I love how he points out, he's been studying the alchemy of this land, which
and alchemy.
Yeah, and alchemy, and I believe he also said, like, he did some research in, like, Xerxes, which, and he was like, he had this interesting system where, like, one arm was for reconstruction and the other for deconstruction. Because, that's how alchemy works. You break something down, and then you reconstruct the base materials into something new. And it was, it's kind of fascinating to see that his brother, who, by the way, is the older brother, is kind of like this scrawny, nerdy scholar type.
Oh, no. His brother was the younger brother.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought the brother was the older one.
No. Scar's the older brother. He's the younger brother.
Well, anyways, it's just kind of neat to, like, see that he's... we all know Scar's this big hulking mass of murder and whatnot, but his brother's kind of like this really, he's still buffer than, like, most of the enemy forces, but, he's pretty thin for, like, the other guys. I guess the best word for it would be, like, he's the white mage. Scar is clearly the attack mage, or the red mage, if you're an FF fan.
Well, to put it in layman's terms of, like, exercising or working out, like... Scar's buff, his brother's more of the toned variety, where you can see the muscle, but he's more toned.
And I mean, like, even when he, like, finally, gets all of his notes together, he's done with his research, he hands them to Scar, and he's like, why are you giving me this? This means nothing to me. It's like, come on, brother, let's face it. Out of the two of us, you have the highest chance of survival. You have the great warrior monk training of our people. You're a natural at this sort of thing. I'm a scholar, and his knees are shaking, and you can see that he's on the verge of crying because he's legitimately scared out of his mind. This is not his wheelhouse.
Yeah, which to that point, one thing you did forget, Jarek, before we reach there, to show how Scar has always been a threat, even without the arm. He's had, his brother mentioned, he had warrior monk training because there's the to combine. Sadly, thing is, the explosion happens. Whole area is in a wreck. Everybody else is dead or dying. Scar's brother got injured in it too, but he's really pretty much the only guy left standing. He finds Scar. Scar's in a bad way. He's got that, obviously why they call him Scar, he's got that signature scar that's fresh on his head. He's trying to tell his brother to get up, realizing he's missing an arm. His arm's bleeding out, and then he's realizing, I want to help my brother. I have the power to help him. Don't you die on me. And then he's realizing he needs his arm, so he frantically, for a few moments, looks around for the arm. My arm, where's my brother's arm? And then he realizes there's only one thing I've left that I have to do, and, as Jarek says, it's pretty obvious that his brother sacrifices himself, so he uses,
the restoration arm to transplant the decay arm onto Scar.
Yeah, and then sadly it goes to the hospital. Scar wakes up. He thinks his brother's near him because he first sees the arm and then realizes the arm's attached to him. He starts freaking out. he sees both Dr. Rockbell and Winry's mother there trying to attend to him. And you see there's other Ishvalans there. There's talks where some Ishvalan soldiers they found want to go back out. They're trying to settle them. There's Ishvalan civilians are helping. Other wounded soldiers from the Amestrian side they were helping. And what happens is he starts freaking out and going nuts. And then, like, they're trying to help him, but like an Ishvalan aide tells Winry's mother they have no more sedatives. They used them all up, and she's like, "Yeah, those were the last ones. Well, what are we gonna do? We have to, move these people and get this guy going now." All of a sudden, in his rage, Scar thinks, Amestrians, this war, the military, you all have to die. So takes up a scalpel, starts running at both Doctor and Mrs. Rockbell. Dr. Rockbell tries to cover Mrs. Rockbell, probably to no avail, because with the strength Scar has, he probably took the scalpel and ran it through both of them through Dr. Wow, actually, that's pretty painful to think about right now.
Well, actually, I think that was a mini hacksaw, because if it was a scalpel, it'd have a very small blade. And frankly, Scar doesn't even need a knife, let's be honest.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, scalpel or blade, I forget which it is, but yeah, he probably ran it through them both, and then I don't think they said he killed anyone else at the hospital, but those were the main two. And
but you do see the old lady and the kid from that one episode.
Thank you, Jarek.
Yeah, the old lady, who they ran into at Xerxes with the little kid who conveniently was the one who told Edward about the murder of the Rockbells, was also there and witnessed the murder, and you can see the horror in her eyes when she sees this man who's part of her tribe just butchering people like a animal.
Yeah, well, because I guarantee Scar was probably well known through that whole city, so she probably knew who that was.
Well, and that's
just in shock.
And sadly, it kind of reminds me of I know I'm going to get some hate for this, Sephiroth from FF7 when he learned that he was a science experiment, because at that time, he was a hero. People loved his ass. And then he finds out his mama's an evil outer space demigod, and oh gee, look at that, Niflheim's on fire. How did that happen? And again, Scar was probably a local town hero, strong, capable, could take down 3 soldiers by himself. Let's face it, he was a badass.
Yes, he was, and that's actually not too fine a point to make there, Jarek. So, I mean, because I can agree to that, because that was Scar's thing. And you see where Scar leaves the medical tent. He tries to go back to his city. His city's completely leveled and destroyed, and he just lets out this horrific scream, way more horrific in Japanese, nothing to take away from J. Michael Tatum there, but way more horrific in Japanese, and just lets out this blood-curdling scream, and it's just like, damn, and then...
And I remember at the time, I told Zach, sorry, thinking about someone else here,
okay.
Boku, I told him, this reminds me of when John went up on the Golgotha after Christ's crucifixion, and he saw, the horror of what had been done, the sacrifice his Lord had made, and just the cry to heaven afterwards. And I was like, I know most people wouldn't even understand that, but for us Christians, that scene kind of hits hard.
Yeah, well, it does, because it's where you have everything, and then, you lose it. And it really was a hard scene to see, because it's like, you can understand Scar and feel sympathy for him for what he lost. I mean, you still don't like the act he chose to do, but you understand it given everything he lost. His brother, his family, his whole way of life, essentially. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you can tell in this episode, Scar had a lot of respect for his brother.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, these people were probably very simple folks, so for him to be able to get that good at alchemy and alchemy was probably a huge thing. I mean, that would be like growing up in the fucking boonies, moving to New York, and being the biggest academic they ever saw.
Yep. And to that point, it goes back to where it was, and, Scar still sees Winry. She picked up a gun by this point, her fingers on the trigger, she's shaking, she's crying tears. Edward and Alphonse are telling her to put it down, don't do it, don't shoot him, we need him alive. Don't do it. And also, they're trying to save her as well. You're not a killer. Don't do it. But Scar's like, here's the thing. I did do what I did. And I am sorry for your loss. But the thing is, that's what happened. I am an agent of vengeance, and now you two have a chance to be an agent of vengeance. And here's the thing, I don't blame you for taking the shot at me, but take the shot at me. But the thing is, you better hit me, because if you miss, you will be then become my enemy, and I will take my aggressions out on you too. And you know, he's struggling with this. Or she's struggling with it. She's struggling with it. Ultimately, though, she can't do it. No matter what she can do, she can't do it. And then all of a sudden, like, Edward and Alphonse continue to fight with him. And then all of a sudden, like, she's in the way. So, like, Scar looks like he's going to hit her. I don't think inadvertently, but then Alphonse gets in the way to protect her from the alchemy that's flying. Scar's right there going at both of them. And as soon as his hand's outstretched like that, he sees his brother and is like, brother? Causes him to freeze up. And then Alphonse takes the reins, and then Scar, with a hilarious cat behind a wall, like breaks through a wall, and the cat's like, ah! Scar runs off, realizing he fucked up right there. But then, like Alphonse actually scolds his brother, saying, Edward, what were you doing getting in front of Winry like that? She could have been hurt, and you could have been killed yourself. Get your head in the game and come on, and leave it to Alphonse to go off after him. And like I was telling Jarek, it's funny how the guy in the armor's going out after him, considering how Scar defeated him so easily last time.
And again, just kind of reminds me of that scene. Plus, also, if our friend Fox is watching, I think the gun Winry had was a PM Eagle chambered in .45. But the thing is, when he gets the gun away from her and she's like, I don't understand. Why couldn't I do it? Why couldn't I take this shot? And he's just like, Winry, in a very sweet and low voice, by the way, for Edward, which is very unusual. He tells her, it's like, that isn't you. Back in that one valley, you saved 2 lives by helping a woman give birth. These hands of yours were made for giving life, not for taking them.
Mm-hmm.
And just the scene of her holding on to him, crying her eyes out, because she knows he's right. This is not her. In fact, it's everything she's ever been against. If you watch the show, you realize that as much as she wants to support Edward and Al, she's scared to death that she will lose them because of the same violence that took her parents.
Yep.
And being confronted in that moment, feeling the same anger that killed her parents, that her friends, the two she loves so much, are trying to fight against, but having to use violence to do so. This is a prime example of what war does to people. And yeah, I know, she's like, oh, war's evil, the Nazis were terrible, but honestly, given the shit the people were doing in Ishvalan at the time, I would actually say the better analogy would be Japan's Unit 731, what they did to China. Because, the crazy experiments, the esoteric magic, the, hey, let's try to see if we can make kids immortal by chopping them up and putting them back together again. I'm just saying, I know she wanted to make it an analogy towards the Nazis, but given what the Japanese did to China at the time, kind of fits more with that.
Mm-hmm. Log in and I move it back and you're still in.
I have very bad depth perception.
Indeed. No worry, it's magnetic. I'll try to get on there in a minute. But Jarek, don't ruin the device. But like, yeah. And I was almost going to say, I was going to do the let it all, the theme. But I forgot, we weren't done there yet. We got a quick little side story for you guys. Like the whole thing of Lan Fan, Ling Yao, and Fear Bradley. What happens is you have the part where it ended in the last episode where it started out, where Bradley runs up to attack Lan Fan. He basically cuts Lan Fan a little bit on the arm. Bradley's surprised, but he's like, oh, you blocked it with your kunai. Very impressive. And then, Courtney's like, can I eat it? And, Bradley's like, make it quick. And then, you have Gluttony rushing at Lan Fan, and then Ling Yao, where we see the first time how badass he is, cuts up Gluttony from his hands to his face, like slicing all those in two, and then just dropping to the ground. And then Bradley's like, oh, you do have some skill. And then, like, just awesome fight scene, ensues where Ling Yao picked up Lan Fan and he's carrying her and he's evading, Bradley's hits, and they're basically circling each other. Bradley's like, "You're trying to find my blind spot. Well, it won't work." And, like, he basically pushes Ling Yao back. Ling Yao does head back. Whitney comes out of nowhere to kick Ling Yao in the stomach. They go into basically what I'm going to say is an abandoned apartment building or some damn thing. And then they have a chance to dialogue a little bit. And Bradley's like, "Who are you? What's your purpose? What are you doing here?" And then all of a sudden, Ling Yao goes, "You're the king. How would you do these things and care about the people if you do these things?" And you're saying everybody. Oh wait, no, that's not what happened. He asks him those questions and then is like, still trying to get away. Well, if you get away, if you drop that baggage, you may have a chance. And he's like, "Baggage? How could you speak about people so nonchalantly? You're a general or the leader here, aren't you? You're the king. King Fear Bradley, I presume. A king is supposed to care about his people. You're no king at all." And then Bradley's like, "Foolish human, there really are no kings." And I'm like, both make really interesting points.
Yeah. And, it's kind of funny because, in a sense, Ling Yao kind of reminds me of, like, greed. It's like, yeah, they're both kind of greedy little selfish assholes, but they do care about their subordinates. And Bradley, I hate to say it, does kind of give off some Gilgamesh vibes, with his everything is for me attitude. But,
well, again,
hey, he's Brad the Chad.
Well, again, that would explain, because, like I said, Hiromu Arikawa, I think what she wanted in the manga and what we get in Brotherhood here is he's really indifferent to everything. Like, Bradley, we haven't gotten to it yet, but there will be an episode devoted exactly to Bradley, which is a fucking great episode. And, you see where he was completely human at one point, but before he gets changed, it's like after his change, he's completely indifferent to everything. And it sort of sucks, but at the same time, you can understand. But it's like,
and it's so funny to see like how kind of almost playful he gets with Ling Yao. It's like, you're good enough to actually come up with these strategies, evade my attacks. And I kind of think he gave him the option to just like ditch her to save himself, because maybe he was like, hey, this kid's got some potential. I want him to improve. I want to see what this guy can do down the road.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like you said, that unspoken respect or curiosity that Bradley has for Ling Yao, sort of like what you noticed a few episodes down when they discovered Laboratory 5 and, his reaction to what he gave to Mustang. So again, it's like, I may hate all humans, but I'm curious, or hey, they've earned a little bit of respect from me. So it's like, hey, and that's cool. And, after they have that little thing, you have Lan Fan with some of her strength. She tosses basically a blinding flash bomb, or flashbang as we call it, to where it explodes a bunch of light. Gluttony and Fear Bradley both get blinded, and, like, Ling Yao feels a breeze coming through one of the doorways, and he's like, the exit's this way. All of a sudden, Bradley throws one of his rapiers, it hits the wall. Ling Yao jumps back in surprise. He's like, "Well, you blinded my one eye, but this eye, his Ouroboros tattoo eye, can see perfectly well." And that's pretty much how that ends till the next time they fight, and their fight continues. And that's basically the episode in a nutshell. And let's see, characters. I've got a whole handful that I could say. Obviously, I'm going to say both Elrics, Edward and Alphonse Elric, Romy Parker, Vic Mignogna, Rie Kugamiya, Maxie Whitehead. Great performances from the two characters, cannot dispute anything. They showed great emotion, great timing, great dialogue from both actors in Japanese and English. I'm gonna give the edge a little bit. I mean, Romy Parker, you're a great actress, and I love the work you do for as Edward, but I give the edge a little bit to Vic Mignogna for that, because he delivered a great performance. Scar, Kenta Miyake, J. Michael Tatum is another one. Great performance of Scar, given the truth of it. He shows great emotion in this one. J. Michael Tatum does, great work. And hey, hats off to you, J. Michael Tatum. We also recently discovered you were Sebastian. So great work in all you do.
Indeed. But then again, He always steals our heart, our dear sweet Bessie.
Yeah. And then can't leave this actress out either. I know she's a little further down the line, but Winry Rockbell, Megumi Takamoto, Caitlin Glass, great performances, great emotion, and Megumi Takamoto, really good. And I especially loved her crying. Again, maybe this is because I'm a fan of the dub. Again, I give the edge a little bit more to Caitlin Glass because I don't know, there was something in her delivery I liked a little more when she was getting upset or sad about stuff. Something really resonated to me. And you could say I'm a, I will say it. If you guys ever want to say I'm a simp for English dub, I am. I grew up with it. I knew it more than subbed, Japanese. I respect both now. I'm glad I do, but maybe I am a simp for English dub. If you ever guys want to call me that, that's fine, but that's how I started watching these. I didn't get like some of you where, I started with the Japanese tapes. No, I never had that.
Well, I do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes, I sent for the English dub. Now declare me guilty.
Hey, well, right on, Jarek. That makes two of us then. And then, before I let you cut in here, Jarek, for your characters, because I know we're going a little over the time, but there's a lot we wanted to obviously get in with the episode, so apologies, folks. But, I have to say, I gotta also give it up for King Bradley again. Hidekatsu Shibata and Ed Blaylock. Both really good actors. And even though Hidekatsu Shibata, I loved your performance and where you sort of give an honorable stoic performance, Ed Blaylock, I loved your vindictiveness as Fear King Bradley. You were vindictive, you were calculating, you were cold when you needed to be. Plus, you were playfully vindictive, like Jarek said. You really have been. I'm evil, delightfully evil. It's sort of like just that cool thing. So I give it up to all those actors for me right there. Great performances, great work. Jarek, anything new to add or a different character?
Basically exactly the same, but I gotta say, out of all the actors, god damn Winry. I mean, who played her in English again?
Caitlin Glass in English.
That woman broke my heart of glass and made me cry a river. God damn, you were good at that shit, miss.
Yeah, well, and funnily enough, too, I don't know if you noticed, she was the voice director for that episode.
Gotta say, man, she's got some real talent.
That she does. She's done quite a bit. I didn't know Caitlin Glass was so involved with this stuff, but she's done quite a bit. And final thoughts of the episode. A great episode, one for character building. We find out a lot about Scar, a little bit about Winry. It builds a new resolve for the Alrics. Obviously, it's going to build a new resolve for Winry because she's probably going to have to learn from this and take what she can from this and stupid fly.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum's been harassing us all day.
Yeah, and all those different types of things. So, I mean, it was a great episode with emotional depth. And I loved it, and some pretty good action in between.
And I have to say, I think this was one of Vic Mignogna's best episodes thus far.
That is what Jarek told me when we watched it together. We really enjoyed it.
God, that scene where he's comforting Winry, that gets me every time.
well, hey, there you go. And what did you guys think? Have you guys seen up to this episode? Do you like it? Do you like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood? If not, as long as I don't fall out of my chair here, just let us know what you think in the comments section. Just like I said, leave anything down below if you guys want to. And I always look forward to hearing you. And like I said, if you want to call me and Jarek Sims for liking English dub, and we mean this for you too, Gray Fox. We apologize, Gray Fox. We know where you stand, but we don't mind English, even the bad ones.
I do support our King Bradley supremacy.
But, I do too. I mean, come on, Ed Blaylock was great in the original, and then when you see him this one, I'm like, he stepped up his game for Brotherhood. I love it.
Slay me, Bradley. Slay me hard.
Oh, it's just great. It's just great stuff. But yeah, just let us know what you guys think, and we'll be back to you again with another review, and obviously more episodes. And again, I will say this again, apologies, it's been a while. Jarek's been busy with stuff. We always sometimes at the same time, or he gets tired, or I get tired, or we're caught up in doing our own things sometimes. So sorry if we've been a little late on some of this stuff. I apologize, but we'll try to get back to you with more soon enough, alright? Deuces, guys.
Deuces.